Hi, and welcome to this amazing session. We're super amazed to have everyone join us. So we are very much amazing session. We are very much looking forward to an interesting conversation. And without further ado, I would like to kick off the session. And I've been given you know the mandate, to welcome us. It's a huge pleasure of mine to welcome you to our second IBS webinar centered on women in insurance. This event has been in the works for some time, and we are glad it's finally here. So some months ago, we decided to kick off a project called IBS Women in Insurance Project after noticing on our part that all the guests we had on our podcast at that time were men. So the aim of this project is to celebrate female professionals playing in the insurance space in Africa, offer a platform for them to promote their incredible work, and also engage meaningful conversations around unconscious bias and navigating the realities of a male-dominated industry. I would use this opportunity to ask that anyone or company interested in partnering with us on upcoming events, workshops, and a mentorship initiative for students in secondary and tertiary schools should please reach out. We are definitely happy to discuss. Today, we are hoping to discuss the untapped values that female professionals have brought, are bringing, and can still bring to the industry. We invite you to a very real and provoking conversation, and one which we at IBS believe needs to be had. Our speakers are vastly experienced, are coming from different professional backgrounds, have different stories, and would be bringing different perspectives. Once again, Karibu, Akwaba, Bienvenue, Wamukelekile, Ekabo, and happy Africa Day. Thank you again for joining us. And I'm also going to be introducing each of our speakers for today. It's going to be a roundtable conversation, and in no specific order, Marjorie Ngwenya. Marjorie is a coach and non-executive director who is passionate about personal growth. Her experience includes conference speaking on diversity and inclusion, coaching leaders on self-leadership, working with organizations to embrace the benefits of cognitive diversity, coaching ethnic minority professionals on self-leadership in the corporate environment. She has often been a minority in the organizations she has worked within and the leadership teams she has served on. She is past president of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries and was the first IFoA president to be based outside the UK, the third female and the first person of color. She was the founding executive director of the African Leadership University's School of Insurance, an industry-driven initiative to deepen insurance talent on the African continent. Her prior roles include being a member of the Group Executive Committee of Liberty Group in South Africa, playing the role of Chief Strategist and Chief Risk Officer of Old Mutual's African operations. Marjorie trained as an actuary and holder of a Sloan Masters of Leadership and Strategy from the London Business School. Welcome, Marjorie.
Thank you very much.
Great. Next is Rashidat Adebisi. Rashidat Adebisi is a graduate of business accounting. She has experience in different areas of the service industry, from customer service, financial advisory, accounting and audit services, and retail distribution, with over 19 years of work experience, largely in the financial services industry. She joined AXA Mansard in 2005 as a member of the finance team, helping to set up the financial framework that drove the growth of the organization. She went on to lead financial control and later became the chief financial officer, overseeing all company accounting practices, budgetary control, financial reports and taxation, human resource and compliance function. She also had brief stints managing settlements, strategy, and technology teams. Rashidat led the Retail Solutions Division from November 16 to January 2020, helping to strategize and execute the retail strategy of the company to become the leading personal lines non-banking financial institution in the country. She became the chief client officer of AXA Mansard in February 2020 with a mandate to drive the successful execution of the customer-first journey and the move from payer to partner of all AXA lines of business in Nigeria. Rashidat is keen to help people grow their assets while providing the needed safety net when unexpected situations arise. She enjoys mentoring young people in general and women to reach for the stars, whilst helping the insurance industry attain its full potential. Welcome, Rashidat.
Thank you very much. Great to be here today.
Great. And next is Adeolu Adewumi-Zer. Adeolu is the Managing Director, CEO of Allianz Nigeria Insurance Limited, headquartered in Lagos, a position she assumed in September 2020. She's a global strategist and transformation leader who has held a number of key executive positions within the Allianz Group based in 3 different continents. Prior to serving in her current role, Adeolu was the regional head of mergers, acquisitions, and transformation Africa for Allianz Group and was appointed the first female board member of Allianz Nigeria in 2019. She has worked since 2000 in global financial services across numerous mature and emerging markets, beginning her career in the USA as an actuarial and international benefits consultant within Aon Group. As a Nigerian and self-described Afro-optimist with absolute conviction in the immense potential existing within the African continent, she does her part to prepare Africa's sons and daughters by coaching, mentoring, and sponsoring tomorrow's leaders, both live and via her podcasts, webinars, conferences, and publications, while volunteering mentoring services to several organizations. In addition to her responsibilities at Allianz Nigeria, Adeolu is married with 2 children. In her limited spare time, she is a lifelong runner, a voracious reader, and loves discovering new countries and cultures. Welcome, Adeolu.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Awesome. Next is Bimbo Onakomaiya. Abimbola is one of the foremost women in insurance in Nigeria with experience in both government-owned companies and private sector organizations. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Big Thrust Insurance Brokers Limited, an insurance broking and consulting company strategically placed to sustain its leadership position in the insurance industry, and also a non-executive director of GNI Healthcare Limited, an expanding health management company with clients in both the private and public sector. Bimbo has 37 years of experience, 20 of which has been in the insurance underwriting companies, specializing in reinsurance, oil and energy, life, and marine insurances, and 17 of which have been as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Big Thrust. She is an associate of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria and also holds a fellowship of the Chartered Insurance Institute, London, and is also a member of the Society of Fellows, being a fellow of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. As the Vice President of the Professional Insurance Ladies Association, PILA, she is determined to encourage inclusion and versatility in the professional gender-biased arm of the insurance industry with the main focus of enhancing the thrust of women leadership in the financial-based sector. Happily married with 3 children, she still takes up hobbies like swimming and aerobics. Welcome, Bimbo.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And last but not the least, Jihan Abass. Jihan is currently the founder and CEO of Lami, an insurance as a service platform and API. Lami has digitized the entire insurance value chain from KYC, pricing, underwriting, and claims processing, all in one platform and API that can be used to distribute any type of insurance product at any point of sale. She set up Lami with the aim of increasing insurance penetration in the developing world. Prior to starting Lami, she worked as a sugar trader in the city of London, trading on the New York and London sugar markets. She has an MBA from the University of Oxford, where she was a Said scholar, and an undergraduate degree in finance from Cass Business School, London. Jihan, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Super excited about this conversation. And I mean, everyone on this call has been on our podcast except Marjorie. So Marjorie, we're happy to have you and to hear more about your journey. I mean, we definitely hear a glimpse of that during this conversation today, but our community would love to hear more from you. So thank you very much in anticipation, and I'll hand over to Folumi.
All right, thank you very much, Damola. And so we'd like to get into the conversation proper. It's really nice to again have everyone here, all of these powerful people that some of us are aspiring to be like. So it's really good that you again have been able to come on board to have this amazing conversation. And so in order to get into the conversation proper, I would like to start with Bimbo. So Bimbo is one of those that indirectly works with. I knew that back then when I was in, one of the insurance companies in Nigeria, I literally used to go about looking for how to generate businesses from Bimbo. And I've actually met her in a pleasant capacity where, she was gracious enough to have handed some of those businesses to the organization. And I mean, it helps me to meet my target at a point in time. But I would like to say now that we're talking about, the untapped opportunities, especially in the insurance space as it relates to women. I know that you play in the insurance brokerage part of the insurance, entity or the insurance industry. How exactly have you been able to position yourself as a top insurance broker, to attract females who are interested in buying or engaging the products and services of other insurance companies? What exactly have you been able to achieve with, being a top female broker in the industry?
Well, thank you so much, Folumi, for the question. Whether I'm top female broker, it's left to see. I mean, there is analysis of what can be regarded as top or not top. But one thing that I can say and I guarantee is that, yes, I do play in the insurance broking field in Nigeria, and I have been around for a while. And the basic question that, what I can hear from what you have said and not said is that as an insurance broker, women, either to identify the needs of the women and, get their insurance needs met. I would like to say that as an intermediary, it takes a woman to identify with the needs of other women. It actually does take a woman to identify with the needs of other women. Due to the women's traditional role of acting as conduits for their families and their communities, they actually represent a significant entry point into the family purse and the family wallet. And therefore, they're a major marketing opportunity for insurers. But before you can provide any need for, or meet the need of somebody, you need to what is this person? Who is this person? How does this person perform? What does the female person want anyway? What is the female customer profile? Both in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, generally, globally. I mean, we found out that as brokers, we realized that basically women want affordable and valuable products so that they can stretch the purse of the family better. They focus on their family needs. They will rely on their families, they rely on their friends, their neighbors, to support the financial advice. They worry about their children, sort of escorting the children to a place where they can be financially independent. Many of us have limited technology understanding. Many of us live in rural areas. Many of us we're not even financially literate. So for some literate or technically savvy, how as a broker do you meet their needs? So to actually attract many of these women to the insurance market, we brokers try to encourage insurers, who are the ones who will ultimately bear the risks anyway, to move beyond the micro insurance products, like Agric Index and, that some of them are doing, and create insurance products which will serve the actual need of the female human being, which we call women. These products, will actually, they should be simple, maybe hospitalization products, micro pension plans, family covers, life insurance products that would have a cash value at the end. And insurers can actually create these products in a very basic, affordable, and relevant manner, especially for the women that don't have a high level of income. For those that are in the corporate world, no problem at all. But those that are not in the corporate world, how do you include them in it financially? What is the financial inclusion anyway? So simply put, we can say that the financial inclusion is a process where the individuals and businesses can access the appropriate, affordable, and timely financial products, including, of course, the insurance products. And the financial sector in which we're all playing is increasingly being made aware of this, that the client profile of women is different from men, as I enumerated earlier. And this is resulting from the cultural norms, the social economic patterns, biological differences. And to date, I'm sorry to say it, but not much has been done by the insurance industry to accelerate the recruiting, the retaining, and the promoting of women. So it's causing this sector to miss out on key opportunities. So we that are in the female-owned broking houses, we recognize this fact. And we need to seize this opportunity so that we can put in place some gender-based differentiated products and the distribution strategies. There are many underserved, there are many unserved, and of course we have those that are in the corporate world. Why is this so? Why should we have this kind of inclusion or financial inclusion? It's been researched that we women, we're willing to spend between 10 to 15% of our income on insurance if we have the opportunity, if we understand it, especially health insurance. In addition to this, women will reinvest a lot of their money back into their children's education, back into the nutrition, back into health needs. Then the literacy levels for women is still so low, despite the fact that the educational gap is still trying to, be bridged. How can insurance come to the rescue? How can we brokers come to the rescue? Simply put, by giving peace of mind with the transference of these risks. So the resultant effect is that when you are trying to transfer these risks and give these women peace of mind, you have to be able to create the products that will attend to their health, disability, all the accidents-related risks, death of the breadwinner, divorce situations. In many parts of our world, when the breadwinner dies, the woman is just lost, completely lost. But if the insurance broker and the insurance industry realize of the breadwinner, then we can, create the kind of products that will protect their hard-earned assets, including even livestock, vehicles, fire, theft, natural disasters for those of them that are into farming. So when you gain this kind of, momentum, the teeming population of women, inclusive insurance will help them to build financial resilience, support their households, their businesses, support the communities they are from economic shocks, preventing them from going deeper and deeper into poverty. Of course, due to the rapid growth of mobile technology, insurers are now able to develop partnerships, and I'm sure Jihan will speak much more on that. And so with this continuous interaction with the insuring public, we have, we brokers, we've noticed that a vast majority of our women are self-employed. This means that we can actually tailor-make the health insurance portfolios, for example, for female potential clients. We can add on their spouses, we can add on their children, and then of course, closely linked to the issue of self-employment is the savings culture. Many of our women have this kind of rotationary savings, like what we call in Nigeria, maybe esusu or something of that nature. So we can, create savings-linked insurance products for them. How about in the area of pensions and retirement? Many of them are not in the corporate world. So are they just going to retire and at the end of the day start selling their earrings or selling their jewelry to be able to make it during retirement? We need to be able to zero in on this, space. The role of the female broker is to identify this need and offer maybe pensions or savings products that can allow small and flexible payment options, and then will give our women a very soft landing, in their retirement. We encourage them, start early as much as you can. Start early so that even if you have, a spousal death later or a divorce situation later, then you're not back into relying on the family that is probably going to be antagonistic anyway. We're encouraging education. We're encouraging asset, protection. And just before I begin to deviate into, the other fields where other women will talk about, I think I want to stop here for now. But I need for us to know that female insurance intermediaries are in the position to access new markets, which ordinarily our women folk may not be able to access. So in a situation where there's, yeah, so you can go on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, this obviously brings me to my next question, which is obviously going to be posed to Rashidat. I like the fact that you're saying all of these things that you've mentioned about financial, exclusion for female. It's actually quite high. I know that according to, IFC's report in 2015, She for Shield, it was given the fact that, females are likely to generate about $1.7 trillion, in the insurance space, if we're able to penetrate that particular emerging market. And so coming down to Rashidat now, how exactly do you think that most insurance should position themselves, to be able to see females as key consumer segments, especially in achieving, the growth that we like to see in our industry today?
Thank you very much. And I think a lot has been said already by Bimbo, setting the pace for us. But if you look at the IFC report, the IFC report, did a very, very deep insight into women. And we like to call it the she for shield. Like, women are really the shield of the society, of their family, whether they have kids or whether they're just children. Women always care. And many times, because they care so much, they sometimes do not even care for themselves. And they get to be, they get to suffer in all of this. And I think that was really, really interesting for us. And more importantly was the segmentation of women around whether they were early career women, whether they were professionals or entrepreneurs, or even low-income women, and the things that were more important to them. And it really reminded every one of us, not just within AXA, but generally, that with the service of of women or serving this particular segment is actually good business. If there are going to be a market possibility of $1.7 billion trillion, what does that mean for us as companies? And a bit more insight to you will be that women didn't actually like, the colored purple, pink policies. That's not what women are looking for. And it was clear that sometimes when we talk about women, people just color it something and say this purple cover royal is women's color. And that wasn't what women were really looking for. They have concerns, they have issues, they have challenges. Are we really meeting them? I mean, not to take away from the fact that women aren't being covered. We're not even really covering people in Nigeria generally. So there's actually a big, divide in our provision of services and the expectation of clients and how we're serving them. So, but it's even worse for women. Many companies if you look into their portfolios, at least for us, at that point in time, I think women contributed just 20% of our portfolio when the report was done in 2017. Over the time, we've done different activities, we've improved, but we're not there. But we also heard a few things. Our salespeople, our distributors said that women are difficult, and obviously women ask a lot. They're very discerning. They ask a lot of questions, and sometimes they found it took longer to sell to a woman than to sell to a man. And so many people were deferring. Even women advisors, salespeople were deferring to selling more to men than they were selling to women. And we had to actually do a gender retraining, a gender awareness training for our salespeople and our leadership and our, the overall management to let us understand the peculiarities. We're not saying give us preferential treatment. We're just saying that women matter because we're here. We're all here together. Everyone should go along on this journey. So if only 20% of women had insurance, if we look at our management team, what's the contribution of women in there? So we had to actually take really, really strong actions as a company to ensure that we could make a big difference here. We started listening to women differently. We went to find out what really concerns women. If I'm a low-income woman, what's important for me? I think Bimbo already spoke about the price points. The way people collect salary in Nigeria is monthly, but we sell annual policies. Why are we doing this? Can we do it differently? So there are definitely a lot of learning points for us. And of course, please stop this purple and pink and fuchsia color policies. That's not what we're looking for. We just need you to address our core concerns. And a lot of women said, look, my child, if I have one, for those who have children, my child is of big concern to me. I want my child covered. I would take care of my child first before I'll take care of myself. So I need something that makes sure that my child is always fine. I want to ensure that the education is in good place. I want to be sure that the family is protected, because when things are not going well, I'm the one that has to, sort of take care of that sort of thing. So we had to start rethinking the offering. Some of the offerings, some of the insurers have might address the needs, but can we understand whether they're entrepreneurs, and can we have conversations with them? And can we be patient enough to listen, to not just run away because they seem to be asking us many questions? Because when you convince a woman, are you able to address her need? In fact, she's the one who would refer you to so many people. But of course, if you don't serve her well, everybody will know that you didn't serve her well. So be ready for that. So you need to be able to balance that quite well. So improving our customer journey became a really, really big deal as well for us as a company. And as a company as well, we had to think about our employees, women employees. And my example in AXA is that we had about 50% of men and women coming in at entry level. But as we get to the most senior, middle level and high levels, we had maybe 10% in some instances, very, very poor numbers. And we had to find out why. Why were people falling off the track? And it comes to complexities around their family life. When I started in the company, you could only get 90 days maternity leave, right? And I like to remind people, and those 90 days, people thought you've already gone on holiday, so you don't even deserve a vacation again when you've taken your 90 days, because you have already gone away to enjoy. So some women don't even get promoted in a year where they go on maternity leave. So we had to face facts and say, look, women deserve their vacation time. So we must give them the vacation time. We must do things for them. We must understand what the issues are. Why do they fall up? They need some flexibility. Can we give them the right flexibility? And some of this flexibility are actually needed by men too. And we've just sort of taken things away. And we also didn't have enough women designing solutions, being involved, understanding the pain points. So if men are designing the policies for women and trying to understand what we need about maternity and other, issues that are concerning for us for health insurance, for example, as Bimbo said. How are we going to manage all of this? So these were the big things for us, and we had to rethink the whole process as a company. We have moved a little bit further, but we're probably all still far away. We need more women. When I look at young people coming in for the actuarial programs, I don't see enough women still. And we have a lot of smart young women, because at the entry level test, we see women outstripping the gentlemen consistently. So that level needs to be addressed even significantly around technical skill set. When we talk about digital tech, we're seeing women like Jihan, for example. We have more women who have the capacity for this, but how are they being encouraged? Who's giving them this support? So I would like to say, and I know we're working within a time frame, but the IFC report was an opener to say, look, there's a market for women. Addressing women is good business for any company, and you need to make a change. But even within your organization, what commitments are you making for women? How are you ensuring that we're not asking for preferential treatment, or we just want to have a say like everybody else, have an opportunity, but understand our complexities and support us? Before, people never thought they could work remotely. Of course, COVID was our fastest accelerator. And suddenly we saw a lot more improvements in how people could be fluid and still deliver on their objectives. So what I'll say to insurance companies are that the women business is good business. I mean, we've increased our portfolio contribution of women to roundabout in the 40s. I think we touched 50 at a point, but we're still far away from ensuring the right people properly. We're still far away from providing the right level of solutions to customers and to women in particular. And we need a lot more women who are on the call to also rise to senior levels, because if people don't go there, I mean, people like me were able to change and make sure that our women could get vacation time as well as maternity leave. And we found other ways to get extra time if you needed it. We now have paternity leave as well, because of course, whatever benefits women, benefits men too, because we're all in this together. So that journey has started, but we must push forward to truly include a lot more people in the insurance space, because there just isn't that protection. We on this call are actually, the safety net for everybody around us, and we need to find a way to balance that out. I'll sort of stop there for Lumi and allow others to take this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, that was really amazing. And your answers actually brings me to asking Adeolu. So I know that Allianz has always done something. In fact, one of the core research I've done into, products and services for female had been, backed off by Allianz. And one of it was the fact that there's this product for pregnant women that was sold sometime, in some rural areas in Africa, basically. And unfortunately, it probably just, didn't scale, to the level that, the organization was looking at. What exactly do you think Allianz 2.0 has in place for, females with, those sorts of products in order to, engage, female participation in buying insurance in Nigeria here?
Yeah, thank you, Folumi. And I have to echo a lot of the comments that we already heard from Bimbo and from Rashidat. So around the power, the financial power that women actually wield in their households. On the most part, perhaps we're not the breadwinners, but we are the ones who control the purse strings, right? And it's not just in Nigeria, that's from country to country. That's been my observation, no matter where I've lived around the world, is that, the men think they're in charge, but it's really, when you dig into it, the women who are in charge when you look at the finances. And so when we realize that, why is it that we are, as an industry, are overlooking that, again, not just in Nigeria. And to Bimbo's point, I would argue that the product's already there. If you look at Allianz and other insurance companies across the world, a number of the products that were named here today, a number of the products that women are looking for exist. So it's rather the focus and the leadership that hasn't been here up to now, perhaps. So if you have, if I look at Bimbo again, and if we're looking at a man in her position, would you hear the same passion, the same points in terms of likely not. It's a generalization, so I wouldn't say every man, but I would say in general, if you yourself are in that position, you have more sympathy, more empathy with that position. And so you can also think about those things. Going to Rashidat's point, if you're not someone who can become pregnant, you might not think around the benefits that a pregnant person might need, that a nursing mother might need. But those benefits are there. Those benefits can be built into the products, and they do exist. So it goes around to people. Most problems come down to people. So having the right people in leadership, having the right people focusing and interacting with our customers. So when you look at Allianz, looking at the focus that Allianz has, not just in Nigeria, but across the group, in terms of bringing up the leadership of women in the leadership ranks. So having concrete targets that we have put into place, 25% at the most senior levels within Allianz, 40% in the talent pools. These are the numbers that we need so that we can have the right leadership in place, so that we can have the right focus in our companies, so that we can pull products together and listen to our customers in terms of what they actually need. It's not, at the end of the day, not about whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. There are needs that each individual can tap into and needs to be fulfilled. And in order to fill those needs, whether it's around gender, whether it's around age, whether it's around the market needs, your market within your company. So that's what we at Allianz also in Nigeria are trying to do in terms of being able to really bring more women into the ranks, focus on the topics that will focus on our female customers. And again, especially in a market like ours, this is not a woman-specific issue. When you have such low pennies, that there are also less women. The fact there are less women means that there's lower penetration. So let's look at education. Bimbo mentioned this. Educating the market, educating our women who usually are leading these financial purchases in the household, and making sure they understand the place that insurance can place in terms of securing the future for their children, for their families. Looking at access, making things easy to understand, easy to get to, even when it comes to not just looking at the urban markets, but also going to the more rural markets. Lagos is not the only market in Nigeria. This is something that we as insurance companies tend to forget. There's a huge, huge market outside of Lagos, as big as it is. And also, again, to Bimbo's point and to Rashida's points, innovation has become such a buzzword. And our technology is not to be the fastest sector out there, but even we can learn, even dinosaurs can learn, I suppose, once in a while. And so that's why we need more companies and need to support more companies like Jihan's company, like other InsurTechs, so that they can push us to innovate in the fastest way possible.
Thank you very much. I think, okay, on the fact of education, I would like to, this would be going to Marjorie. And based on the fact that she's actually, a non-executive board member of Tangent Life. So I know that in a leadership role, like Rashidat actually mentioned earlier, you really don't see a lot of females, in that particular C-suite, at that particular C-suite level. What exactly have been, your challenges in having, or sacrifices that you've made, in trying as much as possible to, create your own influence, at that particular level? What are the things that you've had to overcome?
Thank you. So many things, a short answer. It was mentioned in the introduction that I've been a minority in many professional situations. So whether that's by ethnicity, by gender, or by age, whatever the case may be, I've had to learn to become adaptable. And being in, for example, male-dominated environments means needing to speak familiar languages in order to be heard. And I'm sure that many of the women here have had challenges similarly in being minority figures and minority, representatives. And I think that for me, the major issues that I've had to overcome are actually internal rather than external. So one might look at me and say, but how have you managed to navigate the environment in which you've operated, where you were younger than your peers, or you were from a different ethnic background? What I've had to do was to look inside and to think about where I really thought I fell short. So what was my element of self-doubt that I needed to rise above? And that required a lot of self-honesty and a lot of work to overcome. It's not easy to be in circumstances where you don't feel that you are, that you belong, so to speak. And if I talk about imposter syndrome, it's not something that's spoken about often enough, but it is something that actually more people than we would imagine have experienced, and something that one has to consciously make an effort to get beyond. And if we're sitting around, if 10 of us are sitting around a table, the stats say that more than 7 of us are probably thinking, I don't fit in here. I'm not good enough to be here. How on earth did I find myself here? And are second guessing ourselves. So that's quite staggering if you think that you're probably sitting there thinking you're the only one going through that sort of mindset. So what's had to be necessary for me is a lot of personal growth, a lot of self-development, leaning on mentors, developing myself in technical ways, as well as in more soft skills. So learning how to network, learning how to interact, and expand my horizons as well. So I would say those are the main things that I've had to really deal with.
Okay, so I know again that you became, the third female, but first African, that actually led, the Institute and Faculty of Actuary in UK, especially where it is heavily male dominated. I mean, you just had about 38% of female in that particular, institute, even as a date, yeah. How again, were this one of the things that you were able to, do in order to assume that particular leadership position? Or, I mean, what were the challenges you faced being, you talk about ethnicity, right? What were those challenges that, came your way that you had to, overcome? And how do you think that other female like you would be able to navigate, that particular challenge as well?
So I had many challenges. The Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, as an example, has been going for 160 years. I was the third female. So it was really an unusual position to be in. I was the youngest president, which means they hadn't dealt with somebody who was more mid-career. This position was typically occupied by people who were in the later stages of their career, perhaps pre-retirement. And I was also the first African, or the first non-Caucasian member of the presidential team. And that in itself offers a challenge, because my background, my way of thinking, what I've been exposed to is very different from the people that I was working with. So not only do you need to be able to convey a different perspective and be able to represent the views of others who are not around the table, but you need to be able to listen to how people conduct themselves, how business is done, how agreement is reached, how conversations are had. And that requires a level of cultural agility. So do you understand, in the environment where you're working and operating, how people do things? You don't achieve that overnight, and you certainly don't achieve that by imposing your way of doing things. So fortunately, I had been a member of the council that I was presiding over for 8 years, and that helped me to understand sort of what is the culture, and therefore, even though I am different, so to speak, how do I get my voice heard? How do I represent the issues of those who may not be able to do so themselves? So the thing that I would recommend is using active listening skills and being really open to different ways of doing things, and also not being afraid to let your voice be heard.
Thank you very much. So this will bring me down to Jihan. So Jihan, I know you're doing fabulous things, and of course, at the beginning of this session, we were able to congratulate you for, the pre-seed funding, which is actually a lot. and playing in a male-dominated space, especially the tech space. I know there's a part of insurance, but when it comes to insurance technology, you really don't see a lot of female gender playing in that space. How exactly have you been able to use your authority as a female to continuously engage this particular industry? How exactly have you been able to overcome some of the challenges as it relates to designing products and services that are accepted in this heavily dominated industry by the male?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again for your congratulations. I think one of the key things, I think following Marjorie's point, is mainly around, sort of the self-doubt and the sort of imposter syndrome that people tend to feel. I think when I first started out, I was, I think, about 23. So it was after my first job working in finance. So this was sort of my first venture on my own, trying to figure out, I chose this sort of big, huge problem of insurance penetration to sort of solve. And a lot of the time it seemed that, when you'd meet people, they'd sort of be taken aback that, somebody so young is coming to speak with them, or someone that may not have the 20 years experience, 15 years experience that they might have. I often received emails that were addressed to Mr. Jihan Abass, because they even mistaken me sometimes to be a man. And, these kinds of things sort of, I think it's more about understanding yourself and the goals that you have as a person, and sort of going towards sort of solving that. And one of the key things that helped me was I went to get my MBA, because I felt that, getting a piece of paper that can now validate in front of others was going to be helpful as we now go into as I go into building this business further. And I think so these are the kinds of things that I think may be a small thing to you, but it actually has a big impact, because society tends to view you differently, unfortunately, and I think that was really helpful. I think in terms of on the product side, I would say that the two main issues, I think it was discussed previously, is really around sort of the distribution of the products. So how the products are being distributed, whether technology is used, means that the product can be more flexible. I think one of the main issues is that insurance companies often have tried to sell the same products that they've had for years and years in the same, but just digitize that same product without having to think about how the product would live and act in a digital light, whether that's, paying in installments for the product, or adding flexibility like add-ons and removing things that people might not want in the policy. And I think these are the key things that, has really helped us as we now approach partnerships and so on, because that's the differentiating factor. With technology, the product becomes infinitely more flexible, which means that now it can be distributed in new channels that it was not possible to distribute these products in the past. For example, we've done, when you look at the specifically female products, when we were launching our car insurance product at the start of last year, when we were doing the research, it seemed that women were having less accidents, but less women were buying policies, and they were being priced at the same level as men or other people that might be more risky. And these are the kinds of things that, by leveraging data, insurance companies can now tailor make products, or even recommend the right products to women that actually are more beneficial to them and actually fit the profile that they have. There's no need for women to have to pay more when they might not even be as risky in certain kinds of situations. I think another issue has also been around the understanding of insurance products. There's all this jargon around insurance. People don't really understand what it is that they're covered for, or what certain things might mean. And I think the simplicity that technology can bring forward on that front is also quite helpful, because you only ask 2 or 3 questions to get a quote. Then you're able to buy the policy. You see like a 1-page summary of what exactly you're covered for in a language that is very simple for you to understand. And I think that's the power of using technology in these places. Like it really makes a huge change for somebody when they go to file a claim, when they actually understand what it is they're covered for. So they're not even going to bother to file a claim if it might not be admissible, for example, right? I think following the information from the report, I think obviously women are a huge segment that should be actually targeted a lot more, because I think at the end of the day, when you look at even the income gap, insurance can actually help bridge that gap through, increase of income, like for example, like saving linked insurance products, and provide this extra level of security for families and for women as well. So I think targeting women, targeting SMEs led by women could be a really interesting way for insurance companies to also make more money, and at the same time, cater to a market that has often and for a long time been underserved.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this brings me down to Rashidat. Yes. So I do understand that. I mean, judging from the conversation that we had earlier on, we talked about how Mansard AXA rather is trying as much as possible to balance their portfolio. Make it have a bit of gender diverse portfolio. So Jihan has talked about getting to the female SMEs, which currently stands about over 70% of females are currently owners of small and medium scale enterprises. So what exactly what are you doing about penetrating this emerging market, empowering women alike? And again, there's AFTA that's coming up, the African Free Continental Trade Agreements, which a lot of these women want to play inter-country or interstate, as the case may be. What is AXA Mansard doing, to help these women?
Thank you very much, Lami. I don't know how much time we have, but I'll try and summarize. Because when you think about this, it's not an issue that started in one day, and I'm not sure it's going to end at once. It's a marathon. And therefore, we're actually on a journey to keep revamping and addressing. So when you think about the entrepreneurs you've spoken about, lots of SMEs, I think during the lockdown, so many women stepped up their side hustle, by the way, and some people decided to go into it full time because they saw that there was a better benefit for them than what they were earning. But the question still will be around awareness, education, and access. So the access has to do with things like flexibility, and Jihan has spoken about it. How easy is it for you to buy this? I like to talk about the simplicity of our language. We know insurance is a legal contract, but the therein, wherein, whereas, it's so old that we need to walk, and walk away from it and try to start to say to people, this is what is covered. This is not covered. This isn't covered. If you want to cover this, you need to pay extra premiums. If you don't want to cover this, then, it's fine. At least you're not covered for it. And lastly is that there's some things that insurance will not cover, but perhaps I can help you in finding better ways to use risk management to manage these issues. This is where we can truly help with the business SMEs. We as AXA, we launched a product, an SME plan recently, which is targeted at a lot of women and men who are taking these risks, the risk of, bringing their skill sets to offer solutions to problems. The problems could be solved by technology. It could be solved by just physical engagement or a special skill that you have. So I think it goes back to that foundation of what does insurance really do for people, for businesses. First of all, is to make sure that even the owner, the leader of the SME, physically, mentally, health-wise, they are covered. Because if you're not in a great state of mind or of health, you cannot actually drive your business. So I think some of us have already spoken about, health insurance as a big conversation. So we're pushing, health solutions, we're pushing solutions for assets and all. But I think the topic for today will be, how do we overall as an industry help across Africa? The simplicity of our language is essential. There are offerings that we need to, sort of like break down the covers, decouple them. Some people will call that, I think Jihan referred to them. I believe also strongly around flexibility of payments. The payment platforms are now varied. It's easier to actually bring them into a digital platform quickly. However, the cost of making, recurring payments is still a bit high. And I think there's still a bit of work for us to do here, because if you paid once, it will still be almost the same cost as if you paid each time you pay for 12 months or 10 months. So how do we overcome this sort of divide? How do we make it easier? I saw someone talking about, premium financing and all. So this is another possibility. How do we leverage credit tech companies to offer premium financing so people are truly covered? I think that's still an area for SMEs especially. And it depends on which sector the SME is, because there are also peculiarities around agriculture, there are peculiarities around logistic business, there are peculiarities around being in the trade business as well. And so as a company, we keep learning and listening, and we are, as AXA anyway, we're trying to do this to better understand what are the big concerns and what are the things we cover and what are the things we don't cover and how can we cover more, and you sort of like remove the unnecessary frills that we have been used to as an industry, because we're used to setting covers, we're used to setting things. There are also regulation around pricing. Why do we have to use a regulation that was set 20 years ago for pricing, for example, for some of the SME compulsory covers? Shouldn't we be, looking at more frequent or risk-based or data-based pricing? So we have some fixed pricing that I'm not sure are truly representative of the reality. And so we just say, why are we charging this amount? It's because that's what the regulation says, and then we have companies who will go around and do things. Why don't we just use innovation to find better ways to serve these clients? So this is still an area that, we believe as AXA, and I think also as a woman and as someone who's very passionate about insurance, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, that we can truly make a difference here. It's very painful for me when I see people taking credit and loans, and typically the banks cover themselves. And I think we fail to realize that the equity contribution of our SMEs, of our people, isn't being protected. And why? The banks would typically say that the person doesn't have money, so they only need to cover the bank's portion. But this person has probably worked their life to get this equity contribution. And when something unexpected happens, the bank gets back the money, but they do not get back their own equity contribution. This is still a very big gap for SMEs, for individuals. And the conversation isn't out there. And while as a company, we're trying to have the conversation, but there isn't any big push on the side of the financial institutions to do this. But we need to create more avenues for engaging people so that SMEs truly know, and women in particular, that this is important for you. And there are actually solutions now that we've launched, for example, in the emerging customer space, that sort of addresses not just the loan company, but also the individual. Can we help you if you're ill in the hospital? Can we pay some hospital cover for you and help you, because you don't earn an income during that period? Because a lot of these women and incomes daily. So there are solutions, Hospicash, health and education policies that are on the table, that are available. And like Adeolu said, some of these things are here already, but we're not making enough noise. We're not probably creating awareness in the right places. Maybe we still do all these big billboards. I think I was still in a debate yesterday with my head of marketing that the billboards are nice and they're important, but is that what will really, really help people understand more? Perhaps even the language. And I think the last point I would make is the people that are distributing for us. I truly believe that insurance is a noble profession, whether you're doing it in a tech-based way or in a physical way. And you need to be proud that you are a salesperson. People are sort of looked down on sales agents. And I think otherwise, I think there are very, very amazing people who have the ability to not just solve people's problems, help protect them when something bad happens, but they can also make a fantastic living by it. And we're doing this in AXA because we have women who are working for us. I think in our distribution sales force, we have about 57% who are women right now, and we've continued to help them to ensure that they can make a living decently without doing anything wrong, by helping and by being honest. Because if you missell to a customer today, they won't come back tomorrow. So how do we get them to just put facts on the table so that people are truly protected for what they need and don't try and cut corners just to make extra money? Because I think as insurers, we're probably not, putting our best foot forward. We're just sort of like incentivizing them on the highest commission, not on the highest value to the clients. And the moment we don't fix this, people go back and they're unhappy with the overall results, because the salesperson might go for the commission, but can we teach them about the value proposition so that they can truly start to have the right conversation? And if you sell value to someone and they're happy and you serve them, they will recommend you to 1,000 people, and the referrals are stronger and definitely better than new clients that we're just advertising to, who might or might not understand this. So I feel that when we do this well with our salespeople, educate them, engage them, and ensure they have the right tools, they will help us also drive the communication and localizing the language. Jolie says we're not only in Lagos. I agree, but I don't know any insurance company that has Yoruba or Hausa or Igbo adverts yet. None of us. So we're very culpable as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Rashidat. So I'm just going to ask the last round of questions, and this is actually to people that are, aspiring to get into the insurance industry. And I'm going to start with Bimbo. I know that you are the vice president for, Pillar. There's been a lot of young people in the industry as well that has been looking up to the fact that there has to be like a community for women. So how exactly do you think that these particular support groups, will be beneficial to female professionals with the industry, and those also looking outside, those outside the industry itself, looking, to become an insurance professional much later in the future? What would you say about, that support system?
Well, thank you very much, Lami. The issue with the support groups is that, the support groups could be either formal or informal support groups. Like the Professional Insurance Ladies Association is a formal support group, of which, by the grace of God, I'm the vice president. But that insurance, that Pillar Association has been in existence for as long as I can remember. And one of the pillars that we have there is that of mentoring upcoming females, and basically catching them young from the polytechnics, from the universities, because we go there for talk shows, we go there for career talks, we go there for, programs. We have the ability to be able to, explain to them what having a career in insurance is about. Because, we have other sisters in the finance industry, which are accountancy and banking. But because apart from God taking the first place, we have to be able to let them know that insurance takes the second place in providing cover from the cradle to the grave. And when you have that value proposition, to borrow Rashidat's words, you make sure these people realize that, like I said, apart from God, insurance, from the cradle to the grave, it will support you. And so the support group that we have as Pillar, we're actually giving right opportunities to women. We support training of women. We encourage them to take the professional examinations so that there will be the formal aspects of it, like in attached to the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. But there are other Chartered Insurance Institutes worldwide, based in London, based in other South Africa, East Africa. Okay, and that's on the one hand. So under the council or under the Chartered Insurance Institute, they will get their training, they'll get their leadership support. Then there's a council of registered insurance brokers also, because that is a very important aspect that the Professional Insurance Ladies Association also supports. So invariably, we do not dissociate people. We do not say don't take support from the informal groups. For example, informal groups are the families. You have some informal groups that are friends. You have some, ladies associations, some cooperatives. We don't discourage you actually from getting support from those groups. But when you have a proper registered support group, they can mentor you. They can guide you as to these are the hurdles. These are the stumbling blocks. These are the areas where you're going to face acceptability as a female. These, whether you're like when I started in England. I was a Black woman, I'm still Black. I was a female, I'm still female. The banks and the building societies all had insurance, but you still had to go out. And I was not on a salary. So I knew that I needed some degree of tenacity to be able to market insurance. So when you're marketing insurance from the point of view of providing a need, is completely different from marketing insurance from the point of view of getting a commission. And then we also encourage them at Pillar to join other business women's networks, because like the AFCTA is coming up now, the trade situation that is coming up, if you do not have, you know, one leg, one toe, one finger in other business women's networks, you may not really be able to leverage on that effectively to market whatever it is that you have to market as an insurance professional. We encourage them to go for business training also, like maybe the Lagos Business School. It might be a little bit pricey, it might be a little bit expensive, but if you're building a ground floor house and you're building a 3-story building, they're both buildings, they'll both give you shelter. But the one that is going to be a 3-story building will need deeper roots and a deeper foundation. So Pillar does provide that kind of support. We encourage people to be professional in their attitude and in their outlook towards insurance. And also, nobody can look down on you when you are fully grounded. You see? So the support groups are there, quite all right, the informal ones and the formal. Encourage, and we as a group encourage, past presidents exist in Pillar. They have laid a lot of foundation. We have a current president who is also the managing director of an insurance company, you know, so there's a laid down career path which you are encouraged to, you know, to follow. And of course, I may use this forum to let Rashidat, Adeolu know that we're coming knocking, because you need to participate, to let the younger ones know that you have made it in insurance. You are a beacon of hope. You're a light to the insurance world. So you need to align with the Professional Insurance Ladies Association actively. Okay, so the support groups are there, and we'll continue to look up. We also we have other support groups also, like I'm a member of Gaia Africa, and Gaia Africa is a business women's group that actually supports themselves in terms of and leverage a lot on the offerings of each of these business women that have actually arrived in their own fields. I'm a member of WIMBIS also. I'm a WIMBIS mentor. I mentor some other, you know, younger ones at Women in Business, you know. So once you realize that you're stronger together, that's the issue of a support group. You're actually stronger together. And that's where you'll be able to face the world together and borrow from the playing in the insurance industry, and we'll continue to play by the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, of course, Rashidat and Adeolu are, I'm sure they've heard anyway, so I'd like to come down to Adeolu now. So I know that you're a coach, and I know that you actually have a passion for, women, especially when it comes to inspiring women. I've heard some of your interviews, and I could relate to how passionate you have been. And so, apart from just even advising other people, into getting into that C-suite level that you are, currently playing at, what exactly, how exactly have you been able to manage or balance these things? I know that on our podcast, you mentioned something about having a very good support system, which for you comes in the place of family, right? How are you able to tackle the challenges at the office and still manage to balance, your family time and the likes of that? Because that for a lot of women poses to be a lot of, challenges for us. So how are you able to manage that bit?
Okay, thank you for Lami. So, I think how I would judge success in women in the workforce is when I no longer receive this question, or at least men receive it too. However, I do understand why this question is so important for so many women, and I'm happy to share my experiences. So I would say that for me, it's been mainly around three things, and you mentioned one, the support system. And that's a critical piece. Going down to Bimbo's example about building a 3-story house, if you don't have the right support system there, you can forget everything else. And my support system starts with my spouse, with my husband. I mention this all the time. But something I perhaps haven't mentioned in the past is that when I was pregnant with our first son, he was actually in Turkey for most of that pregnancy. I was in Germany, he was in Turkey. So in that sense, I was supporting him, right? So he was building a business in Turkey. I was pregnant with our first son. But this is something that he needed to do in that time of his career and his professional work. And that's part of being a partnership. So now that I'm here in Nigeria, the family is in Nairobi. Again, we're apart, but together, because we'll always have each other's back. And we know that at one time it might be him, at another time it might be me. But the important thing is, as a Harvard Business Review article once said, if you can't find a spouse who supports your career, stay single. And that's something that has always stayed with me. Second piece is around finding time for yourself. So finding time for me, finding time for my family, and that a lot of that is around setting boundaries. So I have my routines, I have my boundaries. I run in the mornings, so I'm an avid runner, as someone mentioned, and that's something I need, exercise to keep me grounded and focused. I have my Friday nights, Netflix and chocolates. That's something I've mentioned in the past as well. So if I don't have that on a regular basis, I might start to get a bit grumpy. Also around just blocking family time on my calendar. I will actually block time to share lunch, even virtually, with my kids, or dinner, and to have that time with them, even if we're in the same location, to make sure that I have a couple hours in the evening where I'm just offline, I'm with my family, spending time learning about what happened during their day. And then when they go to sleep, then I'm back online dealing with work. And then the third and last piece is none of this could happen. So it starts with people, it ends with people, is without having a great team in place. So I've been really blessed throughout my career to just always have great teams, great colleagues, great bosses, that really, so you can have all the soft skills you want around discipline, around time management, around delegation. But if you don't have the people to delegate to, then it all falls apart. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's pretty much interesting. Okay, so I'm going to Marjorie now. And I mean, this has to do with the fact that Rashidat earlier mentioned about not having enough actuaries, female actuaries in the insurance space, which is actually true. Judging by the numbers, if we're going to even start from our local market here in Nigeria, and then looking at this across Africa, as well as internationally, there are not a lot of females participating in that particular space. So what advice would you give an upcoming actuary, someone like me now? I think one of the things I've done was to shy away from actuary. It just felt like a whole lot of quants, and it didn't seem like I had the capacity. What would your advice be to young professionals that are looking to play in that space? You are a fellow, so that's really like a very major achievement. So what exactly do you think that we require to attain that height?
Thank you, Lami. I would encourage people looking to go into the profession to ask themselves the question, is this something that would interest me? So have you done your research about what the work involves? Have you done your research about how the work is going to evolve? So actuarial science, as I studied it many years ago, is not the same as it is today. There's a lot more technology involved and things are changing at a rapid pace. Is that a domain you want to play in? How are your strengths aligned with that field? And where are the opportunities that you could tap into? So if you're answering yes, or yes, I'm interested to all of those areas, then go ahead and look into the various qualifications that you can pursue. But I would actually say that success in that domain is less about technical expertise, because if you apply yourself, if you study hard enough, you will achieve the examinations, you will get through them and you'll qualify. But will you have what it takes to succeed is the question. And so the areas that I would encourage people to develop and look into are being curious and continuously learning. We finish our exams and we get these qualifications and we think that we're done. And that's never the case, as I'm sure the women around this virtual table would agree. So whether it's advancing your knowledge in your current field or reinventing yourself in a new field, there's always going to be something to learn and to discover. Secondly, I would encourage them to develop people skills and in particular to be able to network. I can't emphasize this enough and how vital this has been for my own career. And in fact, in a very convoluted way, the reason that I'm here today is through having served on Tangerine Life, which came about through a series of discussions through my network. I would also encourage you to try new things, explore, and open doors when you see them. So be open to possibility because you never know what's around the corner. Yes, it's great to have ambitions and yes, it's great to have plans, but it's also great to be open to things that come your way that are unexpected and could really reveal new possibilities that you hadn't considered. So a combination of technical skills and your soft skills as well, I think, is key.
Thank you. And coming to that in terms of technical and soft skills, this brings me to Jihan. Okay, Jihan, I know that you are really young and you are playing in a space where, again, you don't have a lot of, female players within that space. You tend to have, I mean, it's upcoming now. We are having people that are constantly looking to play in the tech space. I'm talking about the female gender, but what exactly do you think that you can advise, these young professionals and people that are looking to, overcome some of the challenges as it relates to being playing in an InsurTech space?
I would say that I think the main sort of my background, if anybody doesn't know, my background was not originally in insurance. So I had a completely different career before this, but sort of saw the opportunity in the insurance industry and sort of had to learn more about the insurance products, how everything works, the risk aspect of it all. This is not something that I knew, but I was really interested in understanding it and solving this problem. And I think the main thing is being able to adapt, seeing opportunities and being able to adapt. I think when you look at startups and these sort of up and coming fintechs and insurtechs, the main thing is being able to adapt, because even the company you might start off in might not be the same company 2 years down the line, because you might have had to change the trajectory completely depending on what people are interested in and what people want. In terms of technical skills, I think maybe understanding more around the technology side of things, around new kinds of technologies like AI and the adoption of AI in insurance, how that could sort of help speed up certain processes and even data. I think these are sort of like really important aspects, but more on the technology side that really, I think, work hand in hand with insurance and could be really interesting to explore for anybody who's maybe looking to maybe set up an InsurTech or wants to go into the InsurTech space in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And so I think the last person I'd like to ask this, I know, Rashidat, that you've actually won, a couple of years ago, you won the, Women Young Professional Award, and that was based off your impact, at AXA Mansard at the time, which I think that is actually very commendable, being a young professional at the time when you won it and being a female. So what advice would you give people that are, looking to create that much impact in their respective environments? It might not necessarily even be in the insurance space, but just so much that they're able to add value as much as possible, and then are recognized for those values that they've added over the years. How exactly would you advise they go about that?
Thank you for Lumi. Already the advices have started. I think I've heard some amazing advice from all the wonderful women on the call, from being adaptable, because nothing is fixed forever. I think maybe that's the first thing. I feel that adaptability is so essential in the new age we're going into. When we went to school, they only taught us how to learn. They did not teach us how to unlearn. But now you have to keep unlearning old things and learning new things all the time. So this is for all of us that are young, old, or young at heart, whichever place you are in. I think that adaptability continues to be very critical. And women have the skill to do this, because the way we move from being a young single lady to having children and being so passionate about kids and then taking care of our parents, we sort of keep learning how to manage one way or the other. So we need to sort of tap into that strength and keep going forward. So adaptability is first for me. I think curiosity is so important. Sometimes we're not curious enough. We're not asking enough questions. So from Jihan, from Marjorie, Adeolu, I've heard all of that, Bimbo, that, curiosity, I think, has helped me in my own career, because I just wanted to learn. I wanted to understand. I remember I was a chartered accountant, and I asked one question from 4 different people in underwriting in my company, because I needed to take a decision for the company. And they gave me different answers. And I said, what? Different answers? I'm confused. So I went in and just started doing the insurance exams, not because I needed a certification, but because I needed the knowledge so that I could take better decisions for the company. Sometimes we're just not curious enough. And I think curiosity has helped me. And it's something we should keep doing. We have a penchant for getting certifications in Nigeria. I love the point Marjorie made on exams. We're looking for actuaries, we're grooming them, but many people are just chasing exams and not chasing the application of the knowledge. And that's my fear, that they would be irrelevant, because you need to be able to transfer these skills in different situations. And when I hear Jihan says, I didn't start as an insurer, I just think about how she's transferred her skills to a different problem. So please, I'll say to young people, don't just chase certification for the sake of having it, or they say they're paying them, actuaries, they're paying them plenty money. This is Nigeria thing, that's where we should go. CFA, more salary, they won't pay you this more money. So people are chasing this, but they don't even have passion for it. They don't even know why they're doing it. They don't even know how they're going to leverage it to grow in their career. So please pay attention to the knowledge, to the value. Ask more questions. Don't do it because Rashidat is a chartered accountant or a chartered insurer. Do it because you want to be that. And some of us might be lucky. I grew up in a home where my dad told me I could be anything I wanted to be. So you might not have that opportunity, but I can assure you that you can be anything you want to be. It's up to you. You have the power to hold yourself back and the power to take yourself forward. I know we talk about imposter syndrome, but honestly, just wherever you are is the right room. And if you believe that, you can make an impact, and perhaps I'll stop at saying that, don't wait for a title. I think in Nigeria, we're too title focused, especially maybe in Africa as well. Maybe people feel that way. You feel that you're not successful until you get a certain title. Please don't tie yourself to titles, because titles are fleeting. If you're not under that title, then who are you? Have the essence for yourself. We all work because we're chasing some title or because our boss told us that. But remember that every skill you get is for you. It's your skill. There isn't any Men in Black, thing where they will erase your memory in a company right now. So be fantastic, be fabulous, because everyone wants to be with a great team player. Success has many fathers. We all want to claim it. But failure is not just an orphan. They use some other derogatory word for it. But it's about you, but it takes a lot. I read recently that cows don't give milk. And I thought, what does this mean? And it says cows don't just give you milk. You milk the cow, which means that you need to take, someone sits down, cleans the cow, pulls it. So some effort is required. The younger you are and you start putting a lot of pressure on yourself and challenging yourself, the better your muscles become used to that. You become very fluid. You are able to apply yourself. But if you're in a space where you're not challenged when you're young, honestly, or you think they've not paid me $1 million yet, so I'll work for them like 10,000 naira. Even when you get a $1 million opportunity, I'm afraid you will not have the capacity. So as you're young today, for some of the students in FGC that are on the call, and for those of us that are on this call as well, and I think for those who are moving into their next phase of career, everything is possible still. I would say to you, just challenge yourself, leverage on what you think you can bring to the table, set your own definition of success. Don't compare yourself to others. We tend to do that a lot as well, because you can't use someone else's clock to check your time. So you have to find what success means to you, not about certification, not about just the degrees, but just try and make yourself happy and excited and be passionate about what you do. And I believe you should make a big difference, you know. I mean, I'm awed at some of the people on the call and the women here. It's amazing what you're doing, but I'm also always willing to learn. I think, you know, I can learn from everybody, and I hope that, you know, we will all never be just the smartest person in the room. I look for smarter people around us, because this is how we can truly share knowledge and be together. Thank you. Thanks for following me.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to actually leave the Q&A session for Damola, who is currently on the call. So Damola, over to you.
Wow, I mean, this has been a very interesting conversation, and I mean, it's been power-packed. I mean, we're very much fast spent on time, and so at the end of this, I would definitely call on someone from FGGC Shagamu, who's going to say a few words. But then before that, so we have a few questions. Because of time, maybe we'll just ask one or two. We have a few questions from before now, and what we're going to do is, as much as we can, we would get these questions answered and send via email to everyone who has attended. So we have Anjali from India, and she's asking, you know, what, I mean, this is, maybe I can ask Rashidat this, but I mean, anyone can jump on it. Oh, maybe Adeolu. So what is the future of life insurance? I mean, Allianz 2.0 now, and looking at it from a perspective of what the future can hold. You know, what is the future of life insurance from the Allianz perspective and from your experience?
Okay, thank you for the question from India. So for me, the future of life insurance is the future. And why I say that is because I would say that up to now in this market, not all markets are the same, but at least in this market, the focus has been much more on non-life products, so short-term products, home, motor, those kind of things, which is critical, right? But we really need to, as we become older as a industry, as a customer group, I know that the current average age is rather young in Nigeria and across Africa compared to some other continents, but we will age, right? And as we age, we need to think more and more about our future, and more around what happens after we retire, what happens not just to us, but what happens to our families and to the people who depend on us. So if we look at our culture aspect, where many times we're not just a breadwinner for our immediate family, but we're earning for the entire village or for the extended family. So what happens when these funds stop coming in? And this is what more of us need to think about as the customer group continues to age. And this is where life insurance comes in, and it can be a critical piece of your retirement planning.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much. And the other question I would love to ask, maybe Rashidat could help here briefly. So that someone here is asking, this Chinyere from Nigeria, she's saying, what is the importance of having an insurance plan? I mean, for the benefit of even the students who are on this call as well. There are still a lot of questions they also are asking about even this thing called insurance. Even me myself, I still have some questions that, but what's the essence of having an insurance plan? Not to talk of even working in the insurance space.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thanks. I would say it's, I'll try and, I know we don't have a lot of time, but insurance is more or less a financial management tool. So everybody likes to say, I have money in the bank, but your money in the bank is the money you've worked for. Insurance is like that extra layer of money in the bank that protects both your money and your assets. And why? If you, for any reason, we don't pray for it. I know in Nigeria, God is in control. It's a big conversation for all of us. But sometimes health-wise, or in fact, sometimes mentally, you need to speak to someone. It doesn't mean something is totally wrong. It just means you need to go through your thoughts with people. From a health insurance perspective, if you had to pay out of pocket every time for everything you're doing, it means that you might not be able to plan, and you might not have financial liquidity or access to money at a point in time. So if you have an insurance policy for health, for example, it means that you can just go to the hospital and be treated. So you won't stay at home and say, oh, I'll be fine, and treat yourself, but you want to check what exactly is wrong with me. So having an insurance policy is that extra financial coverage for your money that you will have spent in the hospital, because you have bought a healthcare for a fixed known amount that will help you protect yourself from an unknown larger amounts that could, some people say that we're one illness away from poverty in Nigeria, because an illness could wipe out all your funds. So if you look at it from a health perspective, that's why. So let's say you're healthy and you have acquired money and you've bought some assets. Imagine if something unexpected happens, a fire, a flood, and that asset that you've spent all your life to protect, just goes up. You hear about all the market fires. You don't want to wait for the government to give you money. If you had insured it, instead of just getting some freebie from your friends or contribution, the insurance company will have met and taken you back to where you were, ensuring that you are able to recover from a loss that you didn't plan for. But some people say, what if it doesn't happen? Then that's where the insurers have to then find other value adds to give to you. But what if it happens? What could it be? During this harsh period that we've all suffered after COVID, it's even the worst time for you to have an unplanned expense. So insurance can help you in that aspect. And I think the final last one that resonates with many women on this call and men is that, God forbid anything was to happen to the breadwinner in the house or to yourself. Imagine, so many people get lost. They go into prostitution. Family dreams are never achieved because they can't afford to pay school fees anymore for that wonderful school that will take your child to the future place you dreamed of. That ambition you have for your family might never be achieved if something unfortunate happened. So having education policy or life insurance makes a big difference. I've seen children that have finished school and continued into university, and that was paid for by the insurance policy their father luckily took up, because their mother didn't probably have a job. She was doing some side business. Some women are full-time housewives. What could happen to that family if something were to go wrong? And it's the other way around. It could be male or female. And I think insurance just has the ability to be a safety net. Your family members could help you. Your brother or sister can take care of your child, but what if they don't have money? That's the real question. So they might love it, they might want to do it, but they just cannot afford it. So putting away something small could really make that huge difference for you. And you don't need to be married or old to start. You can start from when you're very young, because it's even cheaper to have certain life policies when you're young. You might not know who is going to be the beneficiary, but keep changing it over time. So I'll just say to you that insurance is this financial tool that makes sure you don't go and empty your bank account to deal with an issue, because the insurer helps you to take care of that first. Don't go for an insurer just because your friend works there. Go for them because they have the capacity to be there for you, because they address those needs. And I think as insurers, we're also working harder to further improve the way we communicate this. But there's just something amazing about insurance that if you don't have it, you are definitely missing out. Thank you.
Great. Yes, we are very much fast spent on time. And so, like I said, we'll answer all of these questions. We'll share the questions with the panelists, and then send the answers to everyone who is on this call. So I want to use the opportunity to say thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Miriam, Titilayo, Puba, Susan Holiday from IFC. Thank you very much. Ngwenya as well. Thank you for your questions. We can't take all of them right now, but we'll definitely answer them and send them and share with everybody. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you to everyone who has joined in today. Thank you to the students from FGGC Shagamu. One of the things that we definitely wanted to do was to engage the younger generation, because by the time these students are going to be entering into the industry is not going to be what it is today, right? So how are they, preparing their minds to what exactly, the future is, and, being the next Jihan, Abass, and disrupting, and maybe they're building the InsurTech that's going to buy Allianz tomorrow, or AXA Mansard, it's happening around the world, and so, I mean, I'm hearing news of is it Amazon buying Disney or something, so it's quite interesting. And so thank you very much to all the panelists, Rashidat, Adebisi, Marjorie, Ngwenya, Bimbo, Onakomaiya, Adeolu, Adewumi-Zer, Jihan, Abass. Thank you very much. And thank you also to AXA Mansard for the support, and thank you for, the support so far, and we really appreciate it. Thank you once again. Thank you everyone who has joined on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Zoom here. It's been a very interesting conversation. And like we said, we're going to share some of these talking points that have been said today with everyone. I'm going to be sharing with the industry so that we can see how we can get some of these things, get action done, and move this industry forward and have a more inclusive industry. These people here are just an example of the kind of value that is in the industry. You can see, the depth of the conversation and the experience shared. So there's a lot more that we can do, a lot more that women can bring to the industry. And thank you very much. On that note, stay safe, take care of yourself, and do have a fantastic week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate